Welcome back to a real quick discussion on the switch statement. Now what the switch statement is it allows us to evaluate an expression. This is either an int or a char, and it allows us to pick a case based upon a list that we have. And it's much like that ladder system that we were building with the if, else, if statements. So if we're building that kind of system, maybe, and it's an int or a char, we might be able to just use a switch. And the switch is a really nice, clean, concise way of representing that. Some people like them, some people don't. Depending on what it is you're doing, they can be really, really helpful in organizing these multi-ladder system lists. So real quick, after the expression is evaluated, we then enter and evaluate the first case. If the case is valid, that it matches the expression, then the conditional code will run. If it's not, it will skip to the second one, evaluate it. If not, then the third one, and it will keep going until it picks one. Once the conditional code is ran, and then it will go down to the next statement outside of the switch. If none of the cases match, you have the option of adding the default statement. So if no cases match, it then goes to the default. So it's kind of like that else case. So if nothing matches with the if, then it's like, well, I go here. And that's what that default statement does. So let's look at the anatomy of this real quick. We have the keyword switch, which is kind of like the keyword if. Okay, it just signals that, hey, this is going to be a switch. Then in parentheses next to that, you have the expression. And then curly braces here for all of the cases that you're going to build, and that will enclose all those. And then you use the keyword case. Okay, and then the case will be followed by either the variable that's here or some sort of expression. So this, if this matches this, okay. Lastly, you follow that with a colon. So if you have the variable here, or if this is going to be some sort of literal value, you'll have that here, and then colon, and then indented once are the statements. Okay. The very end of this, there is another keyword that you probably would not have seen yet, and that is the break keyword. Now what the break keyword does is it signals that that is the end of the case and to break out of this structure. Without this break, if it were to enter into case 1, it would keep going and then keep going into case 2, and if there was no break in case 2, it then would go into whatever else would be along the way as well. So it would literally fall through all of the other cases, whichever one that it entered. So the break statement says, no, once you're done with the case 1, break out of this structure and then go to the end of the structure. Okay, so that's what that's doing. If you do not have a case that it matches any of these here, you can add the default statement, and the default statement will just run. And you notice that there's not a break on the end of this here, and there doesn't have to be. So that's up to you if you want to do that or not. There's no harm. So if you added a break to this here, it would break out of this, but the next line is the ending anyway. So you usually don't see the default statements contain the break keyword. Let's do a real quick example of this switch statement. I'm just going to make a few cout statements and arrange them within the switch. Okay, so let's go ahead and make an integer. And I'm just going to have this be called choice. We're going to cin from the user choice just so that we can get some input. And let's go ahead and build the switch. We're going to use the keyword switch, which lights up blue. It's a keyword. It's a reserved word. Okay, we're going to build the expression. And inside of here, I can put, because it's an int, I can put choice in here. And choice will be evaluated. Okay, we need our curly braces so that we can follow that syntax. See, curly braces, and let's go ahead and start building the cases. So let's have our first case. We'll use the keyword case. Okay, and then I'm going to say that if I enter in 1, then colon. Okay, and if I enter in 1, what should I do? Let's say you chose option 1. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and type the break keyword after this because I want it to break out of this case when that time comes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and build the second case, and this is going to get repetitive, so I'm going to go ahead and just speed up our timeline and edit this here. There we go. Case 1, case 2, case 3. There we go. Now I'm going to make a default statement. And in the default statement, I'm going to put invalid choice. Okay. And we'll run with this as it is currently right now. Just do some evaluation. It's looking for a choice. I'm going to pick 2. You chose option 2. So it picked this case right here and ran the conditional code that was inside of this, and that was this cout statement here. You chose option 2. Then it broke out of that structure and went to here, which simply said return 0 next. Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to comment out these break commands, and I'm going to choose 3. You chose option 3, and then I see, oh, invalid choice. I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to choose option 1. Now notice I chose option 1, 2, 3, and the default case. And that's because these breaks are being ignored. And when these breaks do not exist in the switch structure, whichever case it starts with, it then will fall through all of the rest of the code until it hits the end of the structure. So again, these break statements are the only thing that saves you from falling through the switch. Now, sometimes you might want that kind of functionality. You might want that. So there might be a few problems that you'll see in either the textbook or out there, or maybe somewhere else, where you might actually have to ignore the break statement in a few conditions. And by ignore, I mean not include it, so that you can fall through to the next case. So that's just something interesting to think about. Again, the default choice, if we were to enter something, say like 5, we get invalid choice. So that's really the gist of how the switch works. Not rocket science or anything like that. Yet we need fuel and a few other miscellaneous rocket parts, and then we can claim rocket science. But for now, hopefully that helps you out with your upcoming assignment. And yeah, let me know if there's any questions on this. Post to the discussion board, and we'll see if we can get those resolved. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.